Welcome, golf fans, pursuers of knowledge and the almighty dollar. This is your golf guru bringing you the American Express. This is my DFS picks and fade show. First and foremost, thank you for stopping by. For my regulars, for anybody that is new, got a great show for you today. We are going to go through all the analysis on the player field from 7,000 and up and give you my top 15 picks. And with that said, without further ado, let's do this. Oh, first thing, I promised you guys, I've been touting this for the last couple weeks, that I am going to do a giveaway, and so here is the giveaway. So once I hit 1,000 subscribers, which we are, I believe, 17 off, I'm going to randomly pick 5 of these subscribers and award you with $100 each. And all you need to do to enter, just so I have some relevant names, is tell me, who do you think is going to win the American Express? I'm actually curious to see who you guys think. It's always interesting to get different people's views. But again, to enter, all you need to do is tell me, who do you think is going to win the AMEX? And once I hit the 1,000 subscribers, which I'm hoping this will get those 17 subscribers, if you know someone out there, get them to subscribe. If they are a fan of golf or are in the betting industry or anything from a DFS side, and let's get this, and I can award you guys. And all I'll simply do is I will put it through the random generator. Once I have the names, I will announce that on the show whenever that happens. I'll let you guys know. You'll see, too, on my subscriber base. And I just need your PayPal email address. So that's the key. A couple of you folks have won these in the past. I've reached out multiple times, and I've never gotten your guys' response. I can't send money to nowhere, so I will need your PayPal email address. Most of you guys have had no problems doing it. So that's it. That's the giveaway. All right, let's get into the data. First, a little house cleaning items, of course. Still touting Prize Picks. You guys need to check it out. If you've not, at least give it a look. It doesn't have to even be for golf. Of course, we got playoff football. But it's simply, what is this? If you don't know what Prize Picks is, it is a kind of prop orientated where you have to pick a minimum 2 up to 5 different players. It could be, as I mentioned, football, from yardage, touchdowns, receptions. Of course, I focus on the golf, and I will be giving you guys my Prize Picks for tomorrow. I have not even looked at it yet, but I always get those out. And if you've not, I think even in worst case, you sign up and put in, whatever it is, 25 or $100, you're going to get a match of 100%. So definitely at least get your $100 and give it a go. It's a good way, again, as I mentioned, to differentiate your money. I think, if I had to take all the entries I've put in, I think I'm about 60% winning rate, which is pretty solid. In the beginning there, we were running hot, but they had a little downturn. And like I said, a lot of it is, the only downside of it is, from a golf perspective, they kind of pick just the top guys. But they're just going off like Vegas projections. So, and like I said, I told you guys before, I think Vegas doesn't do as good of a job of projecting golf. That's my own thoughts and feelings, because I've seen some really soft numbers, and that's what I'm always looking for you guys. Okay, moving on. Oh, and last but not least, of course, you've got 2 options: flex play or power play. If you do the flex play, if you pick hypothetically four guys, you just need to hit 3 and you still get paid. If you hit all 4, you get 5 extra money, whatever you bet on, or 1.5 if you just hit 3 out of 4. What I like is the power play at the 10x. I've hit it quite a bit. It's always nice to throw $100 in and turn that into $1,000. So anyways, that's that. All right. If you missed the preview show, I always go over my stroke gain analysis rankings. If you're doing some modeling on your side, you can look at these and use them. But it's just so you guys understand what I'm doing when we're going in the model. I'll go over this very quickly. Approach is the most heavily weighted. Also, like ball striking here shows up. I actually did a little tweaking. I moved putting up and took off driving distance and fairways. It just put off the tee, which it's the same. But, I just kind of moved the order and the weighting of those. Around the green, still there. Prox to the pin. The 2 that show up the highest is 75 to 100, 150 to 175. That makes up 36% of all the iron approach shots coming in. Of course, there's 4 par 5s on all the 3 different courses in this rotation, but definitely need to make some hay there, as always. There's also a couple short par 4s where they can make birdies and possibly eagles. And then the three par 3s from 175 to 200 is 4 par 3s, but the 3 that I'm focusing on is 175 to 200. I want to put that in there Just see the guys that do a little better at that. There's another par 3 is around 150 yards, at least speaking at the stadium course. And then last but not least, they got to make birdies and eagles. It is a little bit of a putting contest. Scores have been anywhere from 27, 26 under. And I looked at the weather real quickly, and I think the only day I saw possibly maybe a 10-mile-an-hour wind would be on Saturday. So they should be able to go low here. Okay, and the last thing that I'll cover, again, that I showed on the preview show, but I always like to show it again just in case some people don't watch the preview show, is I think comp courses are very relevant this week. I also thought so last week. Whenever you get in these a little bit smaller courses, especially a Pete Dye design, I think it's always good to reference. The guys, if you kind of go through all their information, they do seem to play these certain kind of courses well. I think RSM and RBC are like the top two. Of course, RBC would be a Pete Dye. The Players, which would be TPC Sawgrass, is also a Pete Dye. All those are RBC is a par 71. I believe RSM, the Players, and the Honda, I believe, are par 72. I don't have it in front of me. But they are all Bermuda greens. They are all under 7,200 yards. And like I said, the RBC and the Players is Pete Dyes. And then Sanderson Farms, which is, that's like 7,400 yards. And it's, I believe, it's still Bermuda. I just saw some crossover. A lot of the guys have done well here in the past, have also done well there. And so I like it for a comparable course. But, if you really want to stick to kind of a core three, I'd probably pick RBC, RSM, and the Honda. The Players is, a little unique, but they all got some water too. I think the RSM and the Players and the Honda all have water, which this course does too. Okay, enough on the comp courses. And then, of course, I showed this in the preview show. What you're looking at here is my model above, and then taking 12 rounds of the most recent information. So that'd be the last 3 tournaments for most of these guys. And with these courses plugged in, and of course, the AMEX included, the stadium course, see how these guys fared out. And that's the list there. Of course, Abraham Answers, number 1. I believe he's also under the Pete Dye model, number 1. So Abraham Answer is somebody that does fit this course. Okay, with that said, let's go jump into the analysis, and then I'll come back and summarize my top 15 plays for you guys. Okay, so I'm over in Fantasy National, and again, if you're new, I highly recommend it. It's a great tool. It's purely focused on all the golf information that you could ever divulge. It might take a little bit to get up to speed if you do try this out. Right now, like I said, I haven't reached out in a while to try to see about getting you guys a discount. I need to do that, but I know if you type in Pat Mayo's got one for a 20% discount. If you want to give it a spin for a month or so, I recommend it. It's not very difficult. But in short, so you know what we're looking at, we're going to be focusing on the DraftKings pricing. But as I always state, you can use this for Yahoo, FanDuel, use these picks, but at least you're getting the information. I always like to look, me personally, at the last 12 rounds. I do feel like golfers, most of them, maybe some like a Rahm or a Cantlay, they just stay very elite. That's why they're elite. But the rest of the field, typically they have their ups and downs. And so I'm always trying to look at the most recent data. And with that said, I don't put filters on. And what does that mean? That just means I'm not, picking Pete Dye designs or, less than a certain yardage or a par. I leave that all off because I want to see the last tournaments they played and to see the stroke gain analysis from that. So just so you know. And then what we're looking at here is you get a kind of a mini model kind of template where, of course, you're going to see the player, the rank, the cost, projected ownership. I picked my 5 key stroke gain categories for this tournament. It rates that out over the last 12 rounds. And then this also has this birdies gained over the last 12 rounds. Of course, the higher the green, the better. When you see these reds, it means not so good. And then to the right, you get recent results and tournament history. Okay. So with that said, I also am breaking this down. I pick my picks for you guys kind of through each level. So that way there, of course, we're not going to be like, I like the top 5 guys. That makes no sense whatsoever. So I pick the guys that, of course, I think are doing best within those different brackets for you. Not saying that you can't play some of these guys that I don't pick, of course. They're very applicable. It's just I gotta make some decisions. And also when you're building, if you're doing 5 to 10 lineups, you're gonna have to build your kind of core player pool. You're not gonna just randomly like, I'm just gonna pick out of 100 guys. And so you gotta make some hard decisions. And right off the bat, of course, in the we'll call it the 10,000 to 11,000 range, you got Jon Rahm, Patrick Cantlay, Scotty Scheffler, Finau, and then Sungjae M. we'll kind of leave him off. We'll just stay from 10,000 to 11,000. So we'll go look at these four guys. And, right at the bat, your two best plays, of course, and they've got it priced correctly. And, from an odds perspective, I think, Rahm's 5-1. I think Cantley's 8 or 9-1. You kind of have to make a decision here. Now, you could play both of these guys. You're just going to be hampered for the rest of your lineup. But really, you can't there's not a whole lot of arguments. I just went with Patrick Cantlay, and I'll tell you why. Of course, he had the 61 last year here. You can see his birdie gains is quite more substantial. He does everything I want. You're getting a price discount. I also typically like to fade the highest guy. It seems like it works 80 to 90% of the time. Once in a while. I mean, if I think of John Rahm at the U.S. Open at Torrey, he was the most expensive and he won it. And he was, and I said, there's no way you cannot play him. I wish last week I would have went. If you listened to the show last week when I had my top 15 picks, I told you guys off the bat, everything from what we've seen, analysis, says play Cam Smith. But what I said the problem is a back-to-back, weekend after you just came off a win. I had my reservations. I did. And I didn't play him in a ton of lineups. I think, I think I played 14, oddly enough, 14 lineups. And I think I had him in about 5. So I guess a third. But all I'm stating is it does tend at times to, it kind of works out where the top guy, most expensive, especially when DJ was up there for a while, it was actually awesome because you could just fade it for so long. DJ you could tell he was checked out. Okay, getting off on a tangent. Let's get back to making some decisions here. So again, I'm leaning towards Patrick Cantlay. Of course, recent results: a fourth, a first. It was nice to see because it was quite a break between the Tour Championship and the Century. But Rahm or Cantlay both didn't miss a beat. Right, their games were dead on. Of course, tournament history, you can't go wrong on either. I mean, you could say Cantlay had a miscut, but 2013, it had to be as an amateur. Rahm had a T34. But the last time he played here was 2019. I think ultimately Rahm, a little bit of his advantage with off the tee is taken away here. There's some forced carries or forced layups, I should say. There's going to be times where he can't use one of his major weapons, and that's the driver. Cantlay, I wouldn't say his driver's a weapon, but it's good. I mean, he's still got distance and, typically fades the ball. If we go look at a little more deeper into Cantlay's information, of course, 305 driving distance, accuracy is a little over 60%. I like the green and regs over 70. Don't let this fool you. It is Bermuda greens, but what I did was I wanted to go look and just see where he had his best putting, and his second best putting ever was last year here at the AMEX. So he's pretty comfortable with his greens. The Wyndham or Bermuda, I believe that BMW was bent. Yep. He actually does. It's kind of funny. Bent, POA, it really doesn't matter where he putts. He's just a good putter. If we look at the RBC way back in 2017, which is a good comp course, tiny greens, Bermuda. I think the Memorial is actually bent. Yeah, that's bent at Murfield. Anyway, so if we type in, and we'll just pull it up just so you guys can see. Well, actually, let's go this way. That's where he's had his best performances. So he's had 6 wins since being on tour. He, has done well, of course, at the Amex last year. Shriners, that is Bermuda, and it's also a putting contest. You have to go low there. The AT&T Pro-Am, which is very similar from how this is going to play, the structure, of course. So it shows that he can, handle that. He's had good showings at the RBC, which, of course, is Pete Dye and is a great comp course. Again, RBC, Shriners. So everything, again, and like I said, I'm not poo-pooing Rahm. I'm just saying out of the two, I'm going to go with Cantlay. That's the guy that I will be putting in a majority of my lineups. Now, will I create a lineup or two with Rahm? Sure. But I'm just telling you where I'm leaning my majority builds. Scotty Scheffler, again, kind of back to his main weapon is a driver. And I think, but I mean, I also pick some guys that have, have distance, so I can explain. But Scotty Scheffler, the one thing he does is he does get you a lot of points, typically for the dollar. But when he's up at that 10-6 number, it's kind of hard to, to justify. But you can see, does a lot of birdies. Last time we seen him was at the RSM, which is a comparable course. He had a T57. He had a cut at the Shriners, but he also had this second and a fourth at Mayakoba. He had a miscut here last year, but it came in third the year before. So there you go. I mean, there's typical golf. A lot of it just comes down to his putting. For me, just so many times I've watched him miss that 3 to 4 footer and just want to puke. Especially because I will play him in showdown. I think he's a great showdown play. You just got to figure out which day. And I think if I remember right, he was last year not the best opening round one, but he was really good. It felt like as the tournament got going. So it seemed like he was like a round 2, round 4. But anyways, if we look at where he's had his worst putting performances, so Sanderson Farms, I'm trying to remember that. I feel like that tournament he came back from an injury, I think. So I don't know how much I weigh into that, but that's Bermuda Greens. Lost 9 strokes there. Let's pull up specifically the Amex first. Let's take a look at that. So you can see here, I mean, he's gained here. He's gained a stroke, almost 2 strokes with the putter here. So that's a good sign. You can also see, tee to green and approach was the cause of last year's issues. And really didn't do anything awesome here, but still got a third. So that's interesting that he's only gained a stroke. Well, that doesn't add up. I don't understand. Oh, okay. What's the reason why this doesn't add up? Because this data is just coming from the stadium course, where they would have at this time, I believe they would have still had the Pro-Am. So it would have had to, rotate into 3 courses because that was pre-COVID, shutdown. So that's why he gained almost 14 strokes. But what we're looking at here is just the stadium course data, which they played twice in this event. We'll play twice again. So just took me a moment to figure out why is that off that bad. Okay. Arnold Palmer, he lost 5 strokes on Bermuda. Trying to see Valero. Long story short, I mean, you can just see overall he's very iffy with the putter. And so I'm kind of going to go away from that. And like I said, now Tony Finau and Scheffler, I think they are almost identical in their game, where they're pretty elite with the long irons, long woods, great off the tee. Typically, it's just a putter. But you can see, over the last 12 rounds, it's showing here a Scotty, but that's a while ago, has done pretty well comparative to the field compared to like a Tony Finau. But Tony Finau, has had a pretty good, record here. A fourth, a T14, a miscut, and a T59. That's a while ago. But I'm actually going to skip both those guys. And I'm going to go back to Sungjae M. I mean, yes, his tournament history here is elite. He was playing really good golf. And it was shocking that he, missed the cut at the Sony. But when it came down to it, for whatever reason, quite a few of these guys, like one of my favorite picks last week, who I thought had a really good chance of winning, was Mark Leishman. You guys remember me touting him? Even somebody in my subscribe base asked me, what happened to Leishman? And hey, all you can do is look at the analysis. Of course, I watch almost every minute of golf that I can. And then I also just, from my past history of knowing what these guys can do, that's pretty much the 3 things that go into my decision process. And anything else that I can glean, where are they from? What kind of greens do they grow up on? I mean, there's all kinds of stuff brought in. But the summation of it is you go with everything you know and see and the analysis. And if they can't make a putt that week, same with Sungjae M, there's nothing you can do. And if you watched a bit of the tournament, you'd see a lot of these guys, on 8-footers, 6-footers, even having the read, watching, someone putt right in front of them, or even seeing that due to the dew on the greens, they could literally see the ball line, which way it was going. And there would be times they'd putt it, and due to the Bermuda grain, it would go in opposite direction than what the ball line just showed. So all I'm getting to is, they were little fickle greens. That's the simplest way I could put it. So I'm not too worried. I'm hoping that, if he just goes neutral or he just gains a stroke, I mean, the Shriners, he was the last time on Bermuda, he gained 5.5 strokes. And then he gained at the Century, which was, very similar greens. Bermuda, they were running about the same on the speed. Just like I said, for whatever reason, he just, lost. And he's kind of, lose a stroke and a half or gain, a couple strokes. It's kind of, when he pops, a lot like a Corey Connors. I think he's a better putter than Corey Connors. I mean, you can see over his life, he typically gains almost a half stroke against the field when putting on Bermuda. If we click to his best, so WGC St. Jude, that's Bermuda. Arnold Palmer, that's Bermuda. The Greenbrier at Old TPC, I think that's bent. Let me check. Yeah, that's bent greens. Of course, the Amex, he had one of his best putting experiences ever. So that is definitely a solid. He gained over 7 strokes with the putter here last year. So he should have confidence and feel good about these greens. Valero's, Bermuda, go on and on. So long story short, I'm on SunJM. I'm hoping that projected ownership right now is still up there, but that when it actually comes down to it, because people watched him, of course, if you had him last week, he burned you. I'm hoping ownership's down a little bit, but once they look at tournament history, I feel like they're gonna hit that click. Taylor Gooch, I'm gonna put this real simple. Of course, I'm a huge Gooch fan. I told you guys that I've been on Gooch and Burns since they came off. At that time at Corn Ferry, and with playing these guys back when they were your low 6,000 plays. So it's first off, I always say it's so hard that I'm paying 9,700 at a DFS perspective for Taylor Gooch. Also, even his betting odds now, I think he's in the 20 to 1, or that's crazy too. So I'm glad I hit him before he got there. Anyways, what I was getting to out of this is I think he just played too much golf. I'm shocked that he's played as much golf as he had. Now, he was leading the FedEx points. I don't know if he still is. But you can kind of see this trend where, of course, he won RSM. He had a T15 at Century. He had a T27. He hasn't had the best course history here. I mean, he had a 4th back in 2019. I mean, it's not bad. It's just not. The short of it is, the reason why I'm fading Gooch and I'm not going to play him, also his putting has been driving me nuts. You can see he's kind of on this, lose a couple strokes, gain 5, lose a couple strokes. He barely, I don't know what I'll just call that neutral at the Sony. So long story short, I mean, can he, Bermuda, you can see over the life of his career is his worst putting surface, but he's still positive. He's a good putter. He's just, I just think it's just too much golf. And so, you can also kind of see the irons aren't where they used to, were. He was gaining 5 to 6 strokes. Now he's, about neutral. Off the tee is, whatever. I'm not so much concerned with that here. I'm more interested about the irons and the putting still for this tournament. So with that said, and the price tag, all that, I'm going to fade Gooch, and I'm going to go to Seamus Powers. I think it's going to be a little also a little contrary. You can also see projected ownership right now, and this is very early, is quite a bit lower than Gooch. So I think a lot of people are going to look at what he did with the putter and say, oh, well, if he didn't gain 5 strokes with the putter at the Sony, he went, what? You know what? He's been striking the ball well, and I've said this to you guys. When I think of Seamus Powers, he's not elite at one thing. I think he's just solid across the board. And the guy, I mean, you can see since, the fall, you can take it back to the summer if you want. He's, just been racking up top 10s. He had a win at, Barbasol, which weak field, but, a 3rd, a 4th, 11th, a 12th. I mean, you could make the argument that he played too much golf too. I mean, he's right there, not missing a beat with Gooch. So that could be said. But you can see he on Bermuda, he gains, we'll say a quarter stroke against the field. So I'm going to stick with Seamus, over Gooch. Like I said, you could either or. I could see where, you could plug either for the price, and make the argument that also, Seamus Power spending 9,500. Again, Seamus Power not too long ago was in the 6,000 range. But hey, they got it priced correctly. That's where his game is right now. Also, his past tournament history, this was one little thing I thought was interesting that, even before he was playing better golf, he was still T11, T21. Yeah, he had the miscut 2019, but that's pretty impressive. One thing I didn't do for Seamus that I should do for you guys. Let's just go see what did he do well here at the AMEX, if I can spell. So yeah, he's gained 5 strokes, 2 strokes. When he, did miss the cut, it was all bad. It looks like. Um, let's look at RBC. Played there in 2019 at a 6, so that's good. What about RSM? So he had the 4th place this year. Not so good before that, but like I said, I think he's playing a lot better golf. What about the Honda? Hasn't played it recently, but did not do fare so well in the past. And just curious, Sanderson Farms missed the cut this year there. Gained on putting again with the Bermuda, but terrible with the irons. Okay. That gives you a little more information on that. Corey Connors, I was going to tell you straight up, I hate not playing Corey Connors because when I don't play him, he typically does well, and when I do play him or pick him, he typically doesn't do as well. Now, I don't remember. He was going to be on my picks, but I think I did remove him at the last minute, plugged in somebody else. So, long story short, not the best history here, but again, you just got to make decisions. And I'm actually going with Wolf, which is a little contradictory to what I've been stating as in, you're going to lose, some of their advantages. But I like Matthew Wolf better at times when he's hitting a 3-wood or something a little smaller than the driver, just gets more control. Also, what Wolf brings to the table is just crazy points from a DK perspective, as in he goes on those birdie streaks. The problem with Matthew Wolf that I've seen, and this is my own perception, is his highs are too high and his lows are too low. So if you watch him throughout a tournament or a single round, he goes as the game goes, right? So when he's making eagles and birdies, man, he is just chatting it up, and you just tell the guy, and he's just very personable. I don't know, he is exuding, and when his misses, gets a bogey or a double bogey or something, you can just see his head, and I think he even stated that he was really being hard on himself when he would struggle, but I think he's in a better light. Of course, since we've, his coming back, the Sanderson Farms, right? I mean, I think he came back for the U.S. Open. Let's go take a look at that because that was awesome. I picked him just because the way that course was going to set up for him. Yeah. So I think by either round 1 or round 2, he was leading the U.S. Open. And that was his first tournament in like 4 months. You can see I was super psyched. I mean, he was priced. It was great. He was, I think like in the 7,000 range. If he would have won that, I'd have done very well. We'll just put it that way. But nobody was talking about Matthew Wolf for the U.S. Open. And he was one of my picks. I was, excited because of the course they were playing for him. But the guy can putt. You can see he makes birdies. He's been in good recent form. Like I said, tournament history here, not the greatest. So hopefully he's learned a little bit about that. Like where his win is at the 3M, which I think there's some similarities here. I don't think it's exact, but there is, the water. You got to be able to drive it smart when you do. His best putting surface is Bermuda. Let's go. Let me see. I think the 3M is bent. Yeah, Twin Cities. That's bent. I was just curious. But, Shriners, where you've got to, that's Bermuda. Last 2 times he's had runner-ups there. That's a pure shootout putting contest. Of course, the U.S. Open where he just came behind Mr. Bryson DeChambeau. Almost same with the Rocket. Funny enough, Bryson DeChambeau. It's kind of funny how both those guys, 1 and 2, I've stated this before, both the roughs were up, bent greens. Distance was king. I mean, the Rocket Mortgage is not a hard track, but the Detroit Country Club. Just see real quick. Anything else stands out to me? There's Sanderson Farms. That's odd because you got to hit it pretty straight at Sanderson Farms at the CCF Jackson. That you can get a lot of trouble if you get wayward. And like I said, that's when I get a little nervous with Matthew. But I think there's room to drive the ball here. And pure and simple, I want a guy that could put up some points. Next guy comes up, and everything tells you to play Abraham Answer. And this could come back to haunt me. I even thought about him for 1 and done. Um, but I've been watching Abraham answer, and some. I mean, these guys can turn something in a moment's notice, and I know that. But I just haven't seen it. The two things that he does elite, you can see over his last three tournaments. We'll go look at it in detail. Is approach and putting. Is where typically off the tee he's straight, he's accurate. He's not. What does he average? About 290, but you see 71%, which is great. He's a play for me. Like I said, at RBC Heritage. I mean, like I said, even this course, it makes sense. St. Jude is not a terrible comparable course. It's shorter. It's Bermuda. Trying to see Wells Fargo. That's Bermuda. There's RBC. I already mentioned. He's done well at the AMEX here before. I mean, I just think his game might be just a hair not there. But again, that goes. I mean, the model's telling me that, but more my eyes of what I've been seeing from Abraham. It's just not been there. A lot like Webb Simpson, and I know we're not, but I wanted to just bring this up because he was one of my picks, and I picked him reluctantly last week. I told you guys for months that Webb's game is just not where it used to be, and I don't know when it's come back. So I'm gonna let you guys know right now until we get to the Wyndham. I will not be picking Webb unless he plays 3 tournaments where I just see his game come back. And right now, I feel like Abraham Answer's game, the things that to compete at this level with these guys, they've got to do what they do very well, and that's hit every fairway, hit greens, and make putts because they don't have the length. They can't take on a 600-yard par 5 and have an eagle chance. Typically, it's going to take them 3 to get there. So, with all that said, I'm out on Abraham Answer. Will Z, kind of the same thing. I mean, I don't know. He's had a bit of a break, right? But they missed the cut at Mayakoba. Shriners. His game, he's never been a good putter since I mean, he's had his moments, but ultimately, if you ask me, that was his Achilles heel. Again, I'd put him a bit like a Corey Connors, pretty elite ball striking and was great with the irons. Just, the putter was either up or down. And so it was really weird because you think about the Masters that Hideki won and he came in second? I think he was runner up, or was he third? Let's see here. No, he came in, yeah, it was runner up. We don't have the stroke gain data. I think I had it from some other place. But where I was going with that is it was so odd that those crazy fast bent greens that you have to know, Rays Creek, that the ball is breaking towards, that him and Hideki were 1 and 2. That so there's golf to you right there. It just a bit shocking from all the analytics and everything that you know about Augusta. What should not happen is those two guys be 1 and 2. I mean, but there you go. All right, so I'm out on Will. I got to see some more from him. If you want to be, contrarian, he, easily, if he brings that A game and maybe over a little bit of time off, that he's, got the kinks worked out and he's got confidence in the putter, could easily, do well here. But right now, can't play Will Z, especially at 9,100. I'm shocked. That's the one price that I think he's got no history at this course. He's missed 2 out of the last 3 cuts and had T54. And Mayakoba, like I said, that was a weak field. Of course, Victor Hovland who won it, but Will Z should have been top 5, no problem. So, all right, moving on to Russ Henley. I'd rather pay $9,000 for Russ, who's had good recent form. Of course, just should have won the Sony. We're not going to get into that again. But I guess tournament history, you could say. So that's interesting. I didn't even look at that. But this course, there's no reason why this should not fit Russ's game. You can see he's doing everything we want from a modeling perspective of great on approach. We already know that ball striking, been decent with putting. I'm not going to say he's the best. He was at one time, but his putting, as I mentioned, has kind of went down a little bit as the irons went up. But, overall his career, you're going to see this and say, oh, he's the best Bermuda putter out there, one of them. No, he's, the putting hasn't been as good, but I mean, he just threw that 6 strokes gain with the putter. But you can see right here is what I'm more looking at is off the tee, for him, if he's just a little above, that's awesome. It's the irons are firing, except, at the RSM, they're a little off. And the putter's been, back to being pretty decent. So could that all go south? Could he be mentally drained from what just went? Yeah, all of that. But
for my personal self, I said I had to bet him here. Everything still tells me to play him. Um, I think he'll be fine, but we'll see. And also, typically, like the gentleman below him, I call him like the Sunday can't finish. Like, Russ Henley is just he's got to get a couple finishes, got to get a couple wins. I think for himself personally, but that'd be the only knock you could get against him is that he's had some 54 hole leads that he's blown. So Tringale, we haven't seen him in a while since the Houston Open. It hasn't been crazy time, but I think some people might forget about him. You can see projected ownership, but this course to me fits Tringale. The only hiccup with Mr. Tringale is again the Sunday disasters. So many times either he's been in the lead or close to, and I don't know what happens, but he does fall apart on Sundays. If I remember, yeah, he still is looking for that first win, so that could be a part of it. It's kind of funny if you put him up there with like the Scotty Schefflers. Who else? I think is a good golfer that should have had a win by now. Will Z, is kind of getting to that point. I mean, he's still pretty relatively new, but you can see Valspar's Bermuda RSM, 3M Open's not a bad comparable. Shriners, his Zozo that was over in Accordia. I was thinking that was the other Zozo. Let me see how he's done at RBC. I'm just curious. I don't remember him there. Yeah, that's a long time ago. What about RSM? It's done pretty well there. The Honda. Wow, he's played the Honda a lot. So you can see his games, definitely improved. Hence the pricing too. I don't know if there was any one other. What was the other comp? What about Sanderson Farms? Yeah. So all the comparable courses he does well. I mean, I think he can do very well here. As you see, this isn't a model pick. It's more of my eyes. I mean, you can see recent results, and also his history isn't that great here. But again, that I'm not really going off that. I mean, you got to remember some of the guys that have won here. Yeah, they've had some good, but I've seen some guys who had a bunch of miscuts and then win. Patrick Reed, no thank you. He's just up and down his game. You know, Again, if you want to be contrarian, I don't think there's going to be too many people on him. But Zadenhout, he just doesn't do enough for me. And what I mean by that is he just doesn't score. Could he have? Maybe this is it, but this is a tournament again that you got to go like 2,500 or better. So nope. Justin Rose, he had a 12th at the RSM, good putter. I'm not picking him as a top 15, but I will tell you, I will plug him in here or there. If I create, again, I'm estimating 15 to 20 lineups for the large GPP. Funny enough, they moved it down to 150K. I'm not really sure why. It filled up last week, but neither here or there. I think they dropped the price and they dropped the price and dropped the overall to 150K instead of 200. Ricky Fowler, right? We all got excited. The CJ Cup, his driver's been amazing. You can see his irons still are and the putter's been kind of up and down. So again, but 8,500 for what Ricky's bringing to the table. No, thank you. Nora, no, I'm not going to spend a ton of, Siwoo Kim, I told you I'm betting him. That's it. I just, I kind of dug into him and I just, it's just not good. So, and again, but Siwoo Kim, man, he just turned on a dime and he, as we've seen done, but again, he went, he WD, that was a back issue, but he had a T9 before that at first. I mean, it's a Pete. Again, will I put a Siwoo in a couple lineups? Yes, I will, but I'm not going to tell you guys is one of my top 15 plays. I like Carlos Ortiz as in, I see no reason why he couldn't do well here. We just haven't seen him in a little bit. You can kind of see Jekyll and Hyde. Not a bad, like maybe top 10 finish bet. You can see from what we do have from his past 3 tournaments, it's doing well. 8,200 is a little steep, but again, this isn't the strongest field, so I get that. Johnny Vegas, I mentioned he won here, oh gosh, was it 2013? So, figure that. And that's what I said. I mean, there's no specific. I'm going with Johnny Vegas Light, which I think is HV3 Harold Varner. I really feel like those two guys' games are almost exact. So I'm going to take the cheaper of the two. That's who I'm picking. But, no issues with Johnny Vegas. Funny enough, I was not really planning on Luke List. But I've kind of how this has worked out for me is I'm kind of going with some guys that are elite irons and putters. And then I'm kind of going with some guys that are elite ball strikers where if their putter pops like Hideki Matsuyama, they're going to win, and Luke List was in really good form. Not that this track record here is not the greatest, but he also scores. You see number one in ball striking out of this field, which is crazy. I thought that was wrong. Let me see this. Maybe they're tied. No, he's 19th. That's interesting. Let's go click on Luke. There was another reason why what grabbed my attention. He gained at the RSM or neutral, and that's all I want for Luke List. Literally just be neutral. So this is what I thought was interesting was at RBC Heritage, which you wouldn't really think that's a good fit for him, but he had a third back there in 2018, and he actually did that all of his irons. Actually lost with his putter. So it does show he could top 5 without doing a lot. And then also what I noticed is a couple of his. I don't know what. I doubt they tell me what the greens are. TPC Scottsdale. That's actually wrong. That's not the course they played for the Corn Ferry. So I don't know why I noticed that before. Back to anyways, Luke List. I just wanted to see where he's had some of his better putting experiences. I felt like there was quite a few Bermuda put in there, even though. So Wells Fargo, his best putting experience, that's Bermuda, right? Quail, just confirmed. Sometimes I don't want to be wrong on that. I don't know about this PGA, but RSM gained almost 7 strokes. The Honda, Bermuda, gained 5. If you want to get, what's his most recent Wells Fargo again? Was his most recent gaining, solid strokes with the putter, RSM. I already state that twice. So everything I saw kind of told me that if he's going to have a decent putting week, what I mean by that is be neutral, gain a stroke, he could definitely top 10. And that's, again, he's 8,000, but if you get a top 10 out of him, he's also going to get you possibly a couple of eagles. He does do birdie streaks. He's very streaky. You see his birdies gain, has been on the up. So I like Luke. I'm going to go with that. CH3. I feel like, last week was when you played CH3, so 8,000, no thank you. Brian Harman, again, this could fit him, but he just hasn't been Brian Harman-like. Not a bad showdown play. Adam Hadwin, I thought I was going to plug in, but the more I dove into the analytics, I can't just go on course history. And also, last time he played, it was a T32. We can go look at it real fast. Overall, the putter is kind of the best thing he's got going for him. And you can see, off the tee has been pretty much horrific. And then, with his irons, he had one good showing at Shriners, which it was a good showing, but that's October now. That's, 5-6 months. But it's the putter where he'll do his damage. And, and maybe the irons. Let's go look at the AMEX. What did he do here when he... So, struggled with the iron. Yeah, so ball striking was down, but, made up a little bit with the putter. This time he actually did with the irons, so good for him. Did a little bit with the putter too, but it was more irons. Again, funny enough, it was irons, putter. We'll just call that putter, but it was definitely not done with the irons. So with that said, quite a bit of the times he's done with the irons, and his irons right now have been a little atrocious. I think he's also just going to be so super chalky. Maybe if I was trying to, throw him in for a one and done. It might be an idea. Cameron Champ, again, no. Just the one thing he does elite is the driver. Of course, had him for the 3M Open. That still is just like the craziest pick ever, but just something was telling me. I think right before that, he was actually, I think he had 2 rounds. Let's go take a look at this. Just now for my own mental thought. I think he actually gained, so yeah, it was a John Deere. So I literally, part of the reason why I wanted to bet him and play him was it's so rare for him to gain with the putter. And so I was feeling he might have some confidence. It was literally the weekend before. And I believe they're both bent. Yep. The 3M is that. Yep, they're both bent green. So that was, I think, a bit of my narrative or theory on why I did go with Cameron Champ. He was, it was 150 to 1 or something ridiculous. It was the best hit I've had from an outright bet. We'll put it that way. Chris Kirk, I feel like you should have done it at the Sony if you were going to do it. And, so No, actually, Russell Knox. I don't pick Russell Knox very often, but I like what I've been seeing out of his game. He's got a good course history here. You can see approach and ball striking. It's the putter that could just go nutty. But what I noticed was, of course, he gained just recently, um, and where he typically has gained. Sorry about that. Let's go this route. So this is what got me a little interested was the RBC Heritage Bermuda. He gained. I mean, that's so long ago, but I gotta, we're trying to put correlation here. The Schwab, that's bent. Where else? The Wyndham, that's Bermuda. The Amex. So he gained almost 4.5 strokes here back in 2014. Again, back to RBC. So where some of his best putting experiences have been on Bermuda, even though, funny enough, over his career, which was a pretty long career, showing that Bermuda is not his best, surface. But let's also plug in. Let me. I need to put the comparables in for him. Let me do that. So the Amex, we already know he's had a solid course history. Best showing was a 13th a long time ago, but also a 16th last year, so that's good. What about the RSM? Pretty solid for Russ Knox. We'll just say a 20th best showing back in 2019. What about the Honda? Had good appearances there way back, but not so good recently, so do with that you may. What about Sanderson Farms? Made 3 out of 4 cuts to 17th. And you know what? I haven't been plugging in the players for these guys. Pretty good in his past history, made the cut recently, which is pretty good because a lot of guys that are really good golfers don't always make the cut at the players. So, long story short, this is a little bit what I've been seeing with Russ. And for 7,800, I think it's a pretty solid play. You also see the model likes him a lot. Gary Woodland, I mean, there's a contrarian play. I think he's actually done, at a T2 way back. His game is so volatile. I still can't touch it. Brennan Todd, again, I think I picked him, is a play last week. I can't remember now. Maybe in a value plays. But again, he made the cut, but he just he's not scoring enough. I'm going to go back to Adam Long. This goes back to the theory of typically sometimes 1 week early on these guys. Of course, he won back here in 2019. I told you guys for Adam Long, that's about as good as recent results you're going to ever see. But yes, he had the miscut. And that, I watched it. It was, funny enough, the putter. The one thing that typically he does pretty well is putt on Bermuda, which you can see here. I mean, he's positive. And you can see he lost. He actually shot, I think, 3 or 4 under. Just missed the cut, I think, when it all was said and done. But I think he shot even or 1 over the first day at the Sony, and then shot 3 or 4 under the second day. Of course, I was keeping an eye on him, but yeah, it was just not enough going on. But hopefully, we can get a little more of this Bermuda magic back. You can see he had 5 straight outings gaining with the putter, kind of on and off of the irons. And the driver, when you see off the tee, he just doesn't hit the ball far enough. I don't think it's so much he's wayward. So it'd be just nice, if he could just be kind of neutral, gain a stroke or be neutral on the ball striking. And then if he gains 3 or 4 strokes with the putter, easily top 20. Of course, I bet him again 100 to 1. Again, hoping that I was just a hair early. And this is, past win. So love to play Grillo, but he's just been a disaster. I'm a Mila Grillo fan. Put him in the Luke List, Siwoo Kim, the whole ball striking, usually extraordinaire, can't putt to save their life. But it's just not going well for Amelia Grillo. So instead, I'll go with Lucas Glover, who also can't putt to save his life. But he's, same price, and he's had way better recent form. He actually, what was very interesting is that I think he gained the most strokes. Let me see here. Oh, no, I was wrong. That must have been somebody else I was looking at. I thought it was him that gained his most strokes. No, not with the putter. It was maybe with the irons. Yeah. So the most strokes he ever gained in his whole career, and it is since, it doesn't matter, like 10 years plus, was, this past weekend. So I don't expect him to come out and gain almost 10 strokes with the irons, but he's a good ball striker, period. What I'm hoping for is that this putter It wasn't disastrous, but it wasn't great. And you can see from losing 8 strokes at this, tournament of the century to gaining a hair. So he's out of the last 3 rounds on Bermuda, he's been positive 2 out of the 3. So if that can stick around that, I think he have a good outing. I don't expect him to win, but let's go see some of his comparables. So what was the AMEX? So a couple miscuts, but again, I told you, it's 2006. So yeah, like 20 years, 15-year career already. He had a 12th here back in 2019 would be his best. Actually, let me see something real fast. Since we're here, that's crazy. So I showed you how good of a putter he is. Played here, we'll just say 10, 11 times and gained 1 time back in 2019 with the putter. So that's not great. He's had some, not so bad. Off the tee's been good. Best with the irons was back 2018, gained 5 strokes. 3 strokes in 2019. Yeah, I would love to see him just gain a stroke with the putter. RSM missed recently, but typically does well there. Fits him. RBC, again, you need a guy that can hit the ball straight off the tee, which he does. You need someone that's good with the irons. It'd be great if he had a putter. How about the Honda? Pretty good showings at the Honda. So all the comp courses I like, he's done well at. It's all going to come down to putter. So I mentioned HV3. I'm actually shocked right now. It says projected ownership at 10. With that withdrawal, that was purely, if I remember right, he was a bit over, and I think he just called it quits. I don't think there was anything from an injury side, if I recall, but he was playing pretty good golf up before the miscut and the withdrawal. Now, you can see tournament history, cut, and a T18 in 2019. But why I'm on HV3 is that the one course he had his best finish at, which I know very well because I was just shocked, he moved his way up on Sunday, was RBC Heritage, and it was this past spring. He also gained almost 6 strokes with the putter on Bermuda and very similar greens. If you look at where he's done his most damage with the putter, and that's his one Achilles heel, right? The Players, Pete Dye course, Bermuda, Sanderson Farms. That's not Pete Dye, but it is Bermuda. RBC Heritage, Pete Dye, Bermuda. The Sony, of course, Bermuda. So he's had, even though it shows here, not so great, some of his best putting experiences was on courses very similar. So, and it just probably sticks out in my brain because I've never seen a guy make so many long putts at RBC. It just blew my mind. Neither here or there. So that's a bit. For 7,600, I look at him and Johnny Vegas, his identical plays, and I'm saving some money. So I'm going to go with HV3. Also, he can string together, the 3 birdies, get your birdie bonus, and then, throw his 2 bogeys into a double. All right. Sebastian Munoz. This is my guy. I play him, I told you guys, as a first-round leader every tournament. I think the one time I didn't, he still was first-round leader, and I was so pissed. But he was playing some really bad golf. Let me go back. I'll show you this. He had, this little run right here. And when I say miscuts, I mean, you can see, just puking strokes. I don't know what was going on all fronts. It was the worst golf I've ever seen him play. And then he kind of had a heartbeat at the CJ Cup, and it came out of nowhere, had a 4th, and then a 3rd here, made a miscut. But his game, like a Lucas Glover, very similar. I think he's a little better putter than Lucas Glover. He likes, if you watch Brooks Koepka putt, he hits it with some speed always. That is same with Munoz. But I know with Koepka, he's not worried about the 3 or 4 footer coming back. With Munoz, I get worried about the 3 or 4 footer coming back. But he really strikes the ball, and that's what I like. That's why he makes a lot of putts. But also, like I said, he can also get a double in there because, he's not afraid to go after it. So let's pull up Munoz. I didn't give you guys comparables on him. Let's see here. RBC. Played it twice, 28th and a miscut recently. RSM, a couple 3rds along with some miscuts. So kind of high volatility. That's what you get with Sebastian. Who else? Where are we going to look at? What about the Honda? Played it once, 36. The Players. Played it once this past year, miscut. We can also do this. Just see where he's had his best. Oh, Sanderson Farm. So that's part of the reason. Of course, it's one victory. Bermuda gained over 6 strokes. Look at that. Gained 10 strokes with the putter at the Schwab. Gained 10 strokes to come in third. I actually remember that, but that's funny. RSM Bermuda. We already looked at Greenbrier, which, smaller track, but it is bent. It's funny. He did well at the Zozo, I believe, the previous year, too. Yeah, he had a 14th. That was, I think, the Lanto Griffin came out of nowhere and almost did something there. Anyways, I like Sebastian. So that is happening. Michael Thompson, or Michael Thompson, Blackbeard, I've been calling him. I'm sticking with him. He's got it's like feast or famine. Either he's, top 10 or missing a cut. Good form. He's been in good form. I've already bet him, and I already know that he fits this course well. His putter is his strength. You can see that. Gains almost a half stroke against the field. You see that over his career, is around the green and putting. But the irons, he just gained almost 7 strokes. So I don't expect that to happen again. I mean, that might be a once in a. Well, he's gained. This is a while ago. Let's see the last time. So when he won the 3M Open back in 2020, he gained 7.5. So yeah, that was his 5th best irons ever in his career, and he's been around a while. Let's go see the AMEX. What did he do well at the AMEX? Good with the irons. Let's do this. Let's get most recent. So yeah, good iron showing. Good around the green. Gain with the putter, even gained a little off the tee at the AMEX, so that's good. What about RSM, where he's done pretty well there too? 10th is his best way back, 57th recently. What about the Honda? I think he had a good finish at the Honda. Yeah, he won the Honda. I was gonna say, I remember that 2013 win there, but most recently, still solid. The players. Let's go see. Has he ever done anything there? No, nothing great. Made some cuts, missed some cuts. Nothing to write home about. All right, so I'm sticking with Michael Thompson. See if he can keep it up. All right, no on Phil. Just too volatile. Like I said, when we had that big wide open course at Century, he had a T30, but that's out of 38 guys. So I was really hoping he could top 10. That didn't happen. Streelman, I like him for when I need some distance off the tee. Denny McCarthy, I was on last week, made the cut, but just took too long. I think finally on Sunday he had a pretty decent round. But all reason, here's a perfect example. Will I sprinkle in a McCarthy here or there? I have to, but I was all over him, last week, and he was kind of my Michael Thompson the previous. So it wouldn't shock me that he'll go out top 5. Like an Andrew Landry, they remind me a bit of each other, their game. Could come out and do it. I don't think I bet him, but I probably should check on that. It's going to skip through these guys. My Brokeback pick, I'm not playing Patty Kazire. He kind of disappointed me at the Sony, to be honest. I thought he would do a lot better there. Brendan Steele, I'm actually going to go to him. I've only got 2 picks left for you guys, and we'll get out of here. To go over. And so my low 7s, let me just make sure, because sometimes these are my last 2. Purely, again, he's made the cut here every time. Good course history. What did he, was it the putter? We'll go see what he struggled with at the Sony. Of course, he had pretty good past history at the Sony. What's he done at the AMEX? So I mentioned he had a second back in 2015. So, again, good course history. The putter last year was a struggle. So it's so funny. 1 year you kill it with the irons, but miss with the putter. You put that putting experience with those irons, and you're maybe winning or top 5. Typically, it's the putter where he struggles. So he gains off the tee, gains with the irons. We just need that putter to have that one pop. And just to check, RSM, nothing there to write home about. What about the Honda? He's had really good showings at the Honda, a 3rd or 4th. That's a tough track. I'm always shocked that the field's not better at the Honda. I don't understand. I think because it's that tough of a course, I think some guys just like, nope, no, thank you. Um, anyways, I like Brendan Steele, so I'm with him. And then Hayden Buckley, I'm not gonna lie, is a bit of a model pick. I mean, I've watched him, used him in Showdown. The guy's just been playing good golf, but I don't know a ton about him. Right? He's off the Corn Ferry. I know he had like a win. I don't know which one it was. There, it doesn't matter. Where did he win? The Lacombe, yeah, Suncoast. That's what kind of propelled him. But I had a good showing there on the. But I mean, since he's been on tour, right? I mean, I'm not counting the U.S. Open, so that's the Fortinet first. I think funny enough, if I remember right, I swear I think I picked this guy. Comes out and missed the cut right off the bat. But Sanderson Farms, good comparable course. I told you, Bermuda, Shriners, Bermuda. 4th and 8th. Of course, Bermuda's Bermuda. I mean, he made the cut, but nothing great there. RSM, he missed the cut, still gained with the putter. Then the Sony Open, everything's good and ahead of 12th. So, the guy you can see over his life, is positive. It's a short career that we have, but I like Hayden Buckley. And you can see other people are kind of looking at him. All right, let's go wrap this up, summarize my picks, and get you guys out of here. Okay, so my top 5 Fab 5 picks for the American Express is going to be Patrick Cantlay. No shocker there. I mean, again, you're probably going to have to make a decision depending on your builds. You could build a very top-heavy build. I've already done it. So you could go Rahm Cantlay. I don't think I actually went Rahm Cantlay, but you could definitely do it. Sungjae Im, let's just see the putter come back, man. This course fits you perfect. Great course history. Just make some putts. The Matthew Wolff, I'd say, like I said, you're going to kind of notice this not a specific kind of player I'm looking for. I've got some guys that are steady, and then I've got the guys that can really put some points on the board or can go sideways. So that's how I look at Matthew Wolff here. Either he's gonna, just blitz this place and light it up, or he's gonna be miscut. That's kind of how I look where he'll be. Russ Henley, this would be my Cam Smith play last week. Not that he won the tournament last week, but pretty much almost worse, right? Go to a playoff. Felt like he had it wrapped up all the way. So, but everything's telling me that he should do very well here. So he's in great form, and this course fits him. But he just, either like Cam won or just lost in a playoff. What's that effect going to be? Is he going to be wore out? So I hope if he's wore out, like Cam, like kind of came out and said, like in a roundabout way, that he should have just withdrawn. And I hope that's what Russ would do. Like if you're not 100% going in, don't just go in and half-ass it. And then Seamus Power, just keep doing what you're doing. No, I can't even ask anything different. I mean, of course, yeah, make a few more putts, but actually it's the irons, right? I think he made a ton of putts. We need the irons just to stay up there. Next 5, Tringali, we haven't seen a lot, but I think this could fit him well. And just, hey, for one time in your life, get your win. Finish on Sunday. Russ Knox has been playing great. Pretty good, comp course history, good history here. Just a putter. He needs a good putting out in, or he'll miss the cut. Sebastian Munoz, play him, bet him round 1 leader. I am going to do that, and for him, it's either he's gonna top 10 or could also miss the cut, but he can definitely get the points. Typically, what I've always seen with Munoz is his value for what he cost in DFS to what he generates in points. He's one of the higher up there, as in, for how typically he's a great value, points per cost, I guess you could say. Blackbeard, just need you to keep doing what you're doing, man. I bet you again. Why not win this one? So we're going to, not the RSM, not the Sony, but maybe it's the AMEX. And then again, kind of falling into that ball striking elite, just can you get the putter hot? I don't expect Luke to win this, but it'd be great to see a top 10. And then my unsung, put him right there in the Luke List category, the Siwoo category, the great ball striker can't putt category. Lucas Glover, just give me half of what you did last week, and you should be good to go from an iron perspective. Adam Long, same thing with like Thomas. Of course, past winner, your only win was here, 2019. Can you find some of that magic again and get us that 100-1 win? Brendan Steele, I'm kind of thinking just like Sungjae Im, maybe some of the guys will be off him this week. I think he could be a sneaky kind of contrarian play. And Hayden Buckley, again, don't know a ton. I haven't got to see a lot of you, but everything I'm seeing from a data perspective, and when I have played you in Showdown, you've done well. Why not for 7,500? I mean, these are the guys you got to get on. Like even I'm tell you guys right now for my value plays tomorrow. I've already got 2 guys identified below 7,000 that have been playing amazing golf and they're new. And this is when you got to get these guys and put them in your lineups, because if they keep doing what they've been doing, they're going to just keep creeping up there in price tag, like a Taylor Gooch, like Sam Burns, so on and so forth. And last but not least, we're going to go HV3, raising his hand, saying, pick me, pick me. I'm actually going to make some putts like I did at RBC. So we'll hope that comes together. All right. That's my top 15 picks. And as always, if you guys would do me the honor of clicking that like button, sharing this with anybody else that you think might find it interesting or could help them with their DFS or betting. And as mentioned, we are 17 subscribers away from hitting that 1,000 mark. I just want to thank you guys. I mean, the subscribe base I have, you're very interactive. You're very complimentary. You guys give me insights that I don't always see. So I appreciate all that. Keep it coming, and let's get that 17. So that way there I can also give out some money. And if I can help you with anything, hit me up on YouTube comments or just make a comment, whatever you like. Follow me on Twitter. Purely just, I do keep an eye on PGA Tour communications. And if anybody's withdrawing anything that you guys should need to know, I will put it there. So if you're on Twitter, go ahead and follow me. And I will be, of course, tomorrow with the top 5 value plays, 7,000 below, ownership projections, weather. I'm going to watch some of the pressers. I'll give you anything I see there. And, of course, one and done. Let's see who I'm going to pick for the one and done. So far, I mean, I don't care. I feel like I'm 1 for 1. I didn't pick Matsuyama, but I had Henley. That's close enough. I will use Matsuyama at a different place. I think he can win another tournament this year. All right, guys. Take care and talk to you tomorrow.